Hello, continuing the 140 watt power adapter quest. Who can make the best? The answer is going to be a surprise as to which one ranks best. Today, I have the UGREEN, a Dongguang Midzi, and an aftertop made by Vina, 140 watt adapter. I have a suspicion that all have something in common, and it's going to be bad. All these adapters do something new. 140 watts on one port with the power delivery 3.1 specification. If you are new here, I try to answer the question, which power adapter do I want to get? The videos get technical, so hang on and always ask questions if you don't understand something. The performance is measured and compared to near competitors to see how each one stacks up. If you want to help out the channel, see the links on my webpage or in the description. Patreon is now live as well as the super button, thanks to my current patrons. First, let's get these power adapters opened up and see what we get. The packaging is simple for these adapters, cardboard boxes. They do all come wrapped for your protection and also have extra trays for further filling the trash bin up, since this plastic is generally not recyclable. Here in New York, 1 and 2 plastics only. The aftertop comes in a massive box with absolutely no branding on it at all. Mystery PD 3.1 adapter. The adapter is mostly in cardboard and has some plastic wrapping, not the worst thing I've seen though. It does come with a little extension cord to turn it into a desktop adapter or to plug it in a more convenient location. Nice. The adapter itself has one USB-A port and 2 USB-C ports. The adapter has a bunch of logos on it, but it lacks a critical one, and we'll get into that a little later. The user manual talks about port sharing, which is great. The Dongguang Midzi power adapter comes in a fairly minimal packaging, but it does have a plastic tray. The adapter is, again, totally unlabeled brand-wise on the outside. It should basically say your name here. These, I am certain, will start popping out with familiar brand names on them in time. The device only has a single USB-C port like some of the other 140 watt adapters on the market now. This isn't a deal breaker, but it does mean that it better be really great at that one port. No paperwork comes with this one. The UGREEN packaging is certainly of premium feel, of the level of Anchor at least. Not quite Apple-esque, but really okay. There's a lot here. Plastic tray, cable, plastic wrapping on everything. The USB-C cable is a 240 watt USB-C 2 meter cable. It's actually the same one I've been using for testing all of these adapters and is a very high quality cable. And looking at the adapter, we get 3 USB ports, which are all welcome. They actually give a little infographic right in the user manual. Awesome. The power sharing is essentially the same. Safety listing is not on this adapter for the US or Canada markets, but it does have a Japanese listing, so there's at least some effort that went into this. I do find it odd that these are for sale in Canada and USA without listings. They are direct plug-in devices with no ground on an exposed metal output part, so I really expect it to be required. This is the main thing that these 3 adapters share though, no safety listing. I decided I'm calling them the dangerous bunch. Maybe not. Leave a better name in the comments. Here are the weights for these adapters. The packaging for the aftertop weighs 173 grams and the power adapter weighs 269 grams. The Dongguang Midzi packaging is 45 grams and the power adapter weighs 264 grams. The UGREEN packaging weighs 192 grams, wow, and the power adapter weighs 307 grams. In comparison with the Anchor at 230 grams, these are all heavier. In terms of the form factor, these are all also larger than the Anchor but smaller than the Apple 140 watt adapter. What is so special about 140 watts? Enter the USB power delivery 3.1 specification, which adds some new fixed voltage modes called extended power range or EPR. These allow for voltages of 28, 36, or 48 volts to push the power level up to 140, 180, or even 240 watts over existing connectors with no additional loss in the wiring, meaning they are more efficient at power transfer. These devices all use the 28 volt 5 amp mode to deliver the 140 watts of output power on one port. Time to power these adapters up. The idle power is not amazing on this one, but at least it powers up. Based on the no label, I wasn't sure if it would even do that. This power adapter does come with an extension cable so you can move it around as needed. It is also compatible with the travel adapters from Minix and Invisi. This adapter has lots of modes of operation. It can do fixed output voltages per the USB power delivery 3.1 specification. The USB-C port can deliver 5, 9, 12, 15, 20, and 28 volts. This adapter has a 20 volt PPS mode or variable output voltage mode for more efficient charging. This mode has up to 100 watts of output power, so Samsung super fast charging is on the menu. The cost for this adapter is $80, which is actually on the lower price side for this range of adapters. I guess the extra $20 gets you a brand name on the product. The power adapter turned off when overloaded at 156 watts, a reasonable overload limit for a 140 watt adapter. When we look at the overall data, the idle power consumption is a little on the high side, but the noise is nice and quiet. The overall performance numbers actually look quite good across the board. The adapter does not meet the Department of Energy 6 requirements, the requirement to be efficient in real power terms and use low idle power consumption. Also, it didn't claim to. The voltages were strong and all within the USB specification for power delivery. Really, if this thing had a safety listing, I'd say go for it. This adapter is less marked than an Apple adapter. The idle power is really low on this one. I wonder if it is really low because it doesn't work. This adapter has lots of modes of operation. It can do fixed output voltages per the USB power delivery 3.1 specification. The USB-C port can deliver 5, 9, 12, 15, 20, and 28 volts. This adapter lacks a PPS mode, so no variable output voltaging or Samsung fast charging with this one. The cost for this adapter is $100, which is a bullseye for these adapters. Although, for that money, I expect a safety listing, which this device lacks. This isn't some cheap knockoff, so it should have it. The power adapter turned off when overloaded at 158 watts, a reasonable overload limit for a 140 watt adapter. When we look at the overall data, the idle power consumption is tiny and the THD is also nice and quiet. The overall performance numbers look very good across the board. The adapter easily meets the Department of Energy 6 requirements, although it didn't claim to. This is basically a freebie though, more logos. The voltages were all on the low side and mostly fell out of tolerance with the USB specification for power delivery. I knew it, something else had to be wrong. So it is efficient, but it has poor voltage control, which is the thing this is made to do. No one seems to be able to get everything right. UGREEN, finally a brand name. Like the aftertop, the idle is a little high on this device. It does turn on and work as expected. The USB cable is a PD 3.1 compatible fully, which is great. The device lacks the US Canada safety listing, but does have the PSE mark for Japan, completed by TUV. The adapter has lots of modes of operation. It can do fixed output voltages per the USB power delivery 3.1 specification. It has the same voltages, and it also has the 20 volt PPS mode, all the way up to 100 watts. This thing is expensive. $150 is a little rich for what you get. The power adapter turned off when overloaded at 155 watts. Not bad. When we look at the overall data, the idle power consumption is a little on the high side, but the noise is nice and quiet. The overall performance numbers actually look quite good across the board. The power adapter does not meet the Department of Energy 6 requirements, the requirement to be efficient in the real terms, and the idle power consumption also. It does have the claim on the package though, so this is an out of tolerance. The voltage stayed within the USB specification for power delivery. They weren't great, but they were in tolerance. This seems like the most reasonable choice since it has some safety listing. As expected, all of these devices have power factor correction, this being the technique to consume the least AC current for the equivalent real power level. This means less loss in the other components like wiring and transformers. These devices all have power factor correction on all the time and have nice clean wave shapes. Not much bad to say about any of these here. They work well. When we take a look at the comparison chart in this case, we can see there is some variation, but all the adapters are near the top. Let's focus in on the idle power. The idle power consumption of the Anker and the Dongguang Mizi are really quite good, with low distortion, high for idle power quality score also. Then we take a look at the still low distortion but much higher power usage numbers on the UGREEN and the aftertop. Well, really all the other 140 watt adapters. On the idle graph, I added a big red line, which is the DOE 6 limit for these higher power adapters. On the left of the line meets the specification, and on the right of the line is a little too much. The ones on the right are just a little bit over the line, so not really bad, but still out of spec. The UGREEN is the only one that makes the claim, but doesn't meet it. Heading back, let's deep dive into the average performance. These are all strong, but believe it or not, we have a new chart topper. The IF140-1 from Dongguang Mizi Technology is winning. It actually isn't the most efficient. The Anker takes the crown, but suffers in overall performance due to its on-again and off-again power factor correction. Watch that video for more on that. Otherwise, yeah, it could be crown. Really, anything 160 plus for a PQS is a strong performance, and all of these manage that. On the average power consumption graph, you can see what I mean that these are all good performers. These adapters are basically all wadded up together in a little area on the graph. Totally forgot to put the Apple on here. Oops. The top performer is that totally unlabeled product though. Always a surprise here, and not what I expected at all. Aftertop Vina, no safety listing. I can see why they didn't want to put the brand on the package. The performance isn't bad though. The idle is a little on the high side, but it is a functional PD 3.1 device, the cheapest option, and it has bonus features like multiple ports and being able to use some travel adapters with it. It has all the modes and can charge all the things. How long will it last is up to you, and will it shock you? Hopefully not. The Dongguang Mizi is an interesting device. It really pops for the power performance, but it doesn't bother with compliance marks and it doesn't meet the USB voltage requirements. Lots of marks that don't mean anything, but none of them mean the right things. In other words, no safety listing. The power quality is very good though. Its low distortion and relatively high efficiency in all the modes helps it stand out a little from the others. This does lack PPS, so it won't give the speedy charge to devices requiring that. The best one gets a skip. The UGREEN is the one people wanted to see. The device has a safety listing on the box at least. It might not be the correct country, but at least it's a step in the right direction. The label on the device is important. Saying you passed the tests isn't good enough. The UGREEN idle performance is lacking in that it doesn't meet the DOE 6 requirements, but it is close. The adapter does come with a premium USB-C 240-watt cable, but is that worth $50 more than the competition? In conclusion, these power adapters all have great power quality numbers. The UGREEN and the Aftertop Orvina have some issues with the idle power consumption, but they aren't crazy high, just out of spec with DOE 6. The cost to people is about 30 extra cents per year for idle on these devices in the US, so not wild. Maybe €1 per year in Europe these days. It's 0.5 kilowatt hours to 2 kilowatt hours per year, between the good and the bad on these. The biggest issue with this round of power adapters is no US or Canada safety listing. UGREEN has the Japan listing, so they are trying, and the other two have nothing at all, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's a reason for that. I see teardowns of expensive junk in the future. Price-wise, woof, $80 to $150. Too much. Time to apply the stickers. These are tested and on the database. And for the 140-watt class of adapters, search for 140 watts on the pqs.app page and find that I still don't have the bassiest one, but it's on the way now. Thanks for watching. Next week's plan is to do the overall power adapter mega video. We're going to go through power level by power level and find the best in each category and talk about strengths and weaknesses of each. There's a calendar on the website linked in the description of upcoming videos, so check it out. I have many more of these adapters to get through, but I am going to start mixing in some other videos if the YouTube algorithm doesn't shut me totally down for that. Bye.